Creepie is about a character named Creepie who is a little goth girl. She has a very unusual upbringing. She was left on the doorstep on an abandoned mansion that is actually owned by bugs. And she was brought up by bugs. Her mom is a praying mantis. Her dad is a mosquito. She has two brothers. One is a gnat and one is a pill bug. And you see the interaction with them and how the bugs raise her and teach her. But when she gets to a certain point in life, her parents decide that she needs to learn how to interact with her own kind. So they send her to public school, and she gets into some crazy things in public school. But we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about the people that she meets. So she makes two friends, and two of her friends, one is Chrysalis. Chrysalis is absolutely the opposite of Creepie. She is a preppy, bubbly, loves lots of like pinks and like bubblegum pink. She's very, very preppy. Complete opposite, but somehow her and Creepie form a friendship. She also meets Budge, and I love Budge's character. Budge is always there for Creepie. He's actually like a little bit sensitive, and he is always there for Creepie. One of the memorable episodes I remember in this show is Telltale, the episode was called, and it features Creepie, and she is telling a poem on Mother's Day, and she is talking to everyone in the class, and her poem gets dark. And her principal is always psychoanalyzing her. Like, if you grew up and you were like a depressed or goth kid, you probably relate to this about being pulled into the guidance counselor's office. Like, is everything okay? Everything okay at home? Yeah, that's like basically what this is. So after she reads her poem, they keep her after class. The principal is like, what's going on? You know, tries to call her parents and talk to them, which of course she can't get them on the line. And then we have this crazy scene in this episode where Creepie is on beams, like on beams for how, like in the building, and the principal thinks she is going to jump, and she is like freaking out. She's putting a mat down there. She said, there's no reason to jump to conclusions or something, and she's like, no, I didn't mean jump. But you see Creepie like swing and then fall off like a bug, and just like she lands it, and then the principal's like, we gotta go talk to your parents. So basically the principal makes her way with Creepie in the car over to meet her parents. Well, her mom ends up at all the bugs coming up with this like fake mom character. It's crazy. They're like using like, it looks like a funnel for Creepie's mom to talk while the other bugs are like maneuvering the body, and she's talking to the principal to try to prove to the principal that Creepie's home life is fine and that everything is okay. It's a really cool episode. We also get to see Creepie a few episodes fall in love. So we have two episodes where Creepie falls in love, and it is with a boy she thinks is a tarantula. So her and Chrysalis are at the circus, and they go to this show, and everyone else is freaked out by this spider boy, like tarantula boy. But Creepie is not. Creepie is mesmerized by this guy. She is like, her eyes are big anyway, but her eyes are just like goo goo. So she is looking at the tarantula boy. After his show, or during his show, he scares everybody off except for Creepie and Chrysalis. But Chrysalis is still freaked out. Like, she passes out once, but she ends up liking the tarantula boy, Chrysalis does, because after his show, he takes Creepie and her and goes to the circuit. They go into the circus, play circus games and all kinds of things. But after Creepie is swooned, she is really liking this boy. She finds out that it was all a costume and that he is not tarantula boy. Like, he's not like a real tarantula in the end of the episode, and you can see how devastated Creepie is. She's just like, you're not what I expected. It's getting late. I gotta go home. And you can see how sad he is, but then we get a plot twist at the end of that. Tarantula boy is actually raised by a spider. His mom is a spider making caramel apples in the end of it. We also see, I think it was the last episode of the show, or one of the episodes of the show, he comes back, and Tarantula Boy has a movie coming out. And, Creepie ends up finding out that his mother is indeed a giant tarantula, and then we find out that Creepie's mother and Tarantula Boy's mother knew each other and have been friends for years. But this show was awesome. It had 26 episodes, but it only had season 1. But the episodes are broken down kind of like a lot of during that time was of like mini episodes. So we have like a 10-minute episode here and then a 10-minute episode here in one episode. So it breaks it up like mini episodes. But the episodes are cool. Some cool things about Creepy is she scurries like a bug. She does not like walk like a person. She like scurries like a bug. In the end of it, you get whatever bug was like featured in that episode, you get a explain about what they do. Like we find out that in the mosquito episode that only female mosquitoes will suck blood and that male mosquitoes do not suck blood. We find out things like it was more educational, I think, kind of normalizing bugs and stuff like that in the end of it. But it had a lot of cool lessons in there, and you see her grow up and have some, like, growing up in school, like how she has some problems with people. The psychoanalyst, kind of like the guidance counselor, if you were ever a goth kid or a depressed kid during that time, you know the struggle. But yeah, Creepy was super cool. Unfortunately, it only lasted for one season. That is really sad. But we also have some other cool things about Creepy. Growing Up Creepy was created by Karen Greenberg, and we have David Gwad, I think is how you say it, and Chris Woods, and they created the Growing Up Creepy show, and it was created for Discovery Kids, which is not in America anymore. I don't believe we don't have Discovery Kids in here. I think it's named something else. But you can still watch Growing Up Creepy on YouTube. If you look it up, Growing Up Creepy episodes, you can totally watch it. But thank you guys for watching this video on this like deep dive